Hello everyone. So now the next topic for our discussion is surveying. So now this is very important when it comes to removable partial denture and specifically when we talk about cast partial denture. See, the dentures which you make or you guys are going to make in your undergraduate course will be more of acrylic partial dentures. But what we are studying right now is cast partial dentures. So now if I break the word cast, partial and denture, so it's something which is casted. Casted means the molten metal is poured into a casting mold where it will take the shape of the mold, right? That is what is called casting in a layman term. So as we prepare our crowns, right, for a single crown, what we do, we make a wax pattern of the crown and we do the investing, and then we remove the melt all the wax and put the molten metal inside it, so it takes the shape of the crown. Similarly, on your RPD cast, the main components of your RPD, that is which we'll study in the upcoming lectures, like your major connector, minor connector, direct retainer, indirect retainer, right? All these assemblies are made up of metal, right? So if you want to make any assembly of metal, what you will have to do, you will have to first make a wax pattern and then invest it and then cast that thing, so you get a proper casting of that removable partial denture. Then onto that casting you arrange your teeth and then finally cure it and deliver it to the patient. So now now see, the process of an acrylic partial denture is very much simple, right? And the process of cast partial denture is a bit complicated and less understood by the undergraduates. The reason being, first, that is, we as undergraduates are not taught or not given an exposure of how the cast partial dentures are fabricated, right? That is why we are not able to relate that topic and understand it properly. So when it comes about surveying, surveying is usually done in cast partial dentures, not in your acrylic partial dentures. Okay, so now what is surveying? So surveying is a planned visualization, okay, of form and extent, okay, of a dental prosthesis arrived, okay. Sorry, surveying is what. So now for this, to do a surveying or to make a cast partial denture, what we'll have to do is we'll have to design the denture accordingly. So what do you mean by denture design? It is a planned visualization of the form and extent of the dental prosthesis. So you will plan and visualize the form of the dental prosthesis as well as the extent of the dental prosthesis, right? So two things you are doing. First you are doing is the form, second is the extent of your dental prosthesis arrived after a study of all the factors involved, right? Now this designing of your removable partial denture includes the determining of path of insertion. See, the next topic after surveying will be path of insertion, right? So I'll just tell you briefly what is path of insertion. See, the name itself tells you lots of things about the subject or the topic, right? Path of insertion. So the path in which the RPD is going to get inserted onto your maxillary or mandibular arch. Okay, so designing of RPD first of all includes the path of insertion, right? You can suppose if this is my mouth, I can place an RPD like this, like this, like this, or like this, right? There are various ways with which I can put that prosthesis in my mouth and it gets accommodated wherever the teeth are absent. Okay, so path of insertion is what? The path through which the RPD gets inserted or placed onto the prosthesis. Now to design the RPD, you need an instrument called as an surveyor. With the help of a surveyor, you do the process of surveying. Okay, so very simple. Now what is surveying and what is surveyor, we are going to study in this class. So the procedure of locating or delineating the contour and position of the abutment teeth and associated structures before designing a removable partial denture. So what you are doing, you are locating different areas of the cast or of the patient's cast. It can be maxilla or mandible, right? So you are locating and delineating, that means marking the contour and position of the abutment teeth. What are your abutment teeth? Abutment teeth are the teeth which are going to help in positioning the direct retainer assembly onto them, which in turn provides maximum amount of retention, right? So direct retainers are something which provides maximum amount of retention against the path of insertion. Okay, so now the procedure is what? You are going to locate and delineate the contours and position of the abutment teeth as well as the associated structures, right? The soft tissues, the contour of the soft tissues, the contour of the bone, everything you will have to visualize and delineate. So now if I want to define surveying according to the glossary of prosthodontic terms, surveying is an analysis and comparison. First you analyze, then you compare. What you are comparing? The prominences of the intraoral contours. The most prominent part you have to locate. Suppose if this is a teeth, over here if I am drawing a teeth, so this area and this area becomes the most prominent part. Similarly, if I have drawn the soft tissues over here, this area and this area becomes the most prominent part, right? So surveying is the analysis and comparison of what? The prominences of the intraoral contours. Intraorally, whatever the contours are present, you are going to, the prominences which are present, you are going to mark, analyze, observe, everything, compare, right? And then next comes what is surveyor, right? So to do the process of surveying, you should know what is a surveyor. To use a surveyor, you should know what is surveying. Okay, so it is vice versa. So now a surveyor is what? A surveyor is defined as an instrument used in the construction of removable partial denture, same to locate and delineate the contours and relative positions of the abutment teeth and associated structures. See, mainly the most prominent part which I was saying is to be looked near the abutment teeth only, because on the most prominent part or on the base of the most prominent part only you will decide the position of your clasp, the direct retainers, right? Or you can also call the surveyor is a parallelometer. Okay, it is an instrument which is used to determine the parallelism of the surface of the teeth or other areas of the cast. Suppose now if I am drawing a teeth over here, okay, and I place my surveyor over here, it is fixed. I want to see whether this surface of the teeth is parallel to this surface or not. So something which measures the parallelism is known as parallelometer, right? So surveyor is a what? It is a kind of parallelometer which is used to determine the parallelism of the surfaces of the teeth or the other areas of the cast. A.J. Fortunati in 1918 was the first one to come up with the use of surveyor. Okay, so clear. Once again, going through the introduction, two things you have to remember: surveying, surveyor. Surveying is basically you determine, locate, analyze all the contours, the most prominent contours of the abutment teeth and associated structures. Surveyor is what? It is an instrument which is used to do surveying, but a definition is what? It is an instrument which is used to construct an RPD or also to locate and delineate the contours and relative positions of the abutment teeth. Second definition, you can also call it as an parallelometer. which is used to determine the relative parallelism of the teeth or the other areas of the cast. See, definitions are something which you need to understand. See, when you understand the definition, the 50% of it is already in your mind. Remaining 50% you will have to mug it. Okay, there is no other go. Okay, till the point where you understand the whole thing, it is well and good, but some things or some terminologies or some keywords like parallelometer, contours, parallelism, locate, analyze, all these keywords you cannot change, right? Because if you change these keywords, you are going to change the whole meaning of the word or the whole statement what is given by the author, right? Now, what are the objectives of surveying? Okay, why do we do surveying? First, good retention and bracing. So when you have surveyed the whole cast, what you can guarantee is you can guarantee good amount of retention in the prosthesis. And bracing is the prosthesis is going to wrap around the teeth very well. Then determine the path of insertion. You can determine the height of contour as we have already discussed. We can mark the survey lines, which I'll tell you in this class, and mark the undesirable undercuts. Okay, undercuts which are not going to favor or aid for us to efficiently place the prosthesis are called as undesirable undercuts. Now there are various parts of the surveyor. Okay, there are various types of surveyor also, but more than the various types of survey, there are around 20 to 30 different types of surveyor given by different scientists and different authors, right? Correct. But there are different parts of the surveyor. When we talk about different parts of the surveyor, the first part of the surveyor is surveying platform. So the first and the foremost part is surveying platform. Now what is surveying platform? See, again, now name, is the name giving you any idea? No. See, surveying platform is a platform on which you will keep your cast and conduct the process of surveying. Very simple. Okay, it is a metal plate, right? This round structure over here, you see what? It is a metal plate, okay, which is parallel to the floor, correct, where the cast holder can be placed. So on this metal plate you can place this cast holder. Okay, in this cast holder you have a knob over here and 3 studs. So when you loosen the knob, the studs move apart, you place the cast, again tighten the knob, so all the studs come closer. Now the cast is tightly gripped by the holder. Then you take this holder and place it on this platform, and then what you do is you will see a fully assembled surveyor like this. So the first image is a fully assembled surveyor, second is a surveying platform, third is the cast holder. Now the one more interesting thing about the cast holder is, right, that you can tilt the cast holder. Over here if you can see, there is a ball and socket joint. So when I talk about ball and socket joint, so now it can create movement in circular motion. All the tilting movements can be done with the help of this ball and socket joint. To loosen this joint, you have a knob over here. So you loosen the knob, you correct your tilt, make it parallel to the floor, and then place the cast and start your surveying. Now there is one more important feature of this cast holder, see, that you will understand when you actually do surveying. See, it is not always necessary that you keep the cast holder exactly parallel to the floor. Sometimes the path of insertion will not be so good in that degree of tilt. That is, if you have a 0 degree of tilt, you feel that if I tilt the cast holder by 5 degrees, I get a more better design of the RPD. Okay, see, the tilting of cast can change your design of the RPD. Yes, this you will understand when you go through the process of surveying. Okay, you can watch, there are various videos of how to practically do a process of surveying, right? But for that you need to understand all the terminologies what I'm going to discuss over here. So when you are able to understand all the terminologies and then watch the video of surveying, yes, it's very useful. Okay, so now surveying platform and cast holder with a ball and socket joint where you can tilt. Maximum advisable tilt is how much? The maximum amount of tilt you can give in any direction. Tilt can be front, back, left or right. Okay, so this tilt should not be more than 10 degrees. Why? See, the reason is your mouth is small. If you give a tilt of more than 10 degrees in the cast holder, the same tilt has to be given in the patient's mouth while placing the RPD. And you cannot tilt the prosthesis that such big RPD more than 10 degrees and place in the mouth. It is difficult to place the RPD in a mouth which is fabricated with a tilt of more than 10 degrees, right? So this was the first part of your RPD, or first two parts we can say, the surveying platform as well as the cast holder. Now the next part we have is the vertical arm of the face bow. Okay, so now if you see a fully assembled diagram of this over here, I'll enlarge this diagram. Yeah, so now when you are seeing this fully assembled diagram of the surveyor, you have this horizontal, this vertical, this platform, this cast holder. So we have discussed the cast holder and platform. Moving on to the third part, that is the vertical arm. So now this vertical arm has two major functions. Okay, on one side the vertical arm, if I write over here, the vertical arm has two major functions. The first major function is to support or to arise from the surveying platform. It arises vertically from the surveying platform. Second, it supports the superstructure. Okay, so you have two things. First is your vertical arm is going to get engaged with your surveying platform like this, and then you have a horizontal arm which is extending from that vertical arm, right? Okay, so that is what all is about your vertical arm. Now next, third thing you have is a horizontal arm. I mean fourth part is the horizontal arm of the surveyor. Now if this horizontal arm, if you see, it is extending horizontally or transversely from your vertical arm. First feature is you have a knob over here, one knob, it is behind that side. So if you loosen this knob, you can move this horizontal arm up as well as down, right, based on the amount of height you want, right? Some surveyors don't allow this provision of moving this horizontal arm up and down. Also, one more second feature what you can see is there is a joint over here. Okay, and over here there is no joint, right? So some vertical arms have a flexible joint, so you can move the horizontal arm freely. Okay, you don't have to move the cast left and right. Instead, you can move the horizontal arm because it has a flexible joint in between. But whereas in other surveyor, right, Jelenko surveyor, or sorry, in Naze surveyor, it is a type of surveyor, right? So in Naze surveyor, that arm is not having that joint, that provision of flexibility is not present over there in the nace surveyor, whereas in the Wills surveyor or Willis surveyor you have a joint, or in the Jelenko surveyor you have a joint. So horizontal arm with a flexible component, it is present in your which surveyor? Wills as well as Jelenko. No flexible component, it is present in naze surveyor. Okay, so this is can be sometimes asked in your MCQs or one marker question, right? One more thing added over here is this horizontal arm has this surveying arm also. This surveying arm can move again down or up. Okay, you have to loosen this knob and move it up down. Sometimes this surveying arm is spring loaded, it is having this concentric vertical springs, so you can press it, again you release, it comes back up. So you just press, do your surveying, release, it automatically comes up back with the spring action. Some surveyors don't have that provision. Okay, so it depends on what company or what type of surveyors you are using. Moreover, we use nowadays what I have used this both kind, that is your Jelenko as well as nace surveyor, right? Both are good. Okay, each one has its own advantages and each has its own disadvantages or shortcomings, right? So this was about another part.